Yeah, so just really, and feel free to share kind of your analysis here on the data, but we had a stretch from October 14th to October 20th, which was and okay, what about October 21st? Okay, this one kind of falls outside of the realm here. It
Right.
was a low temp of 44 with 7 mature buck photos for the day. What is your guess or reasoning for that?
And I've seen this sometimes, and I'm not going to guarantee that my guess is right, but sometimes when you have a really good front and then a warm front comes in, sometimes you'll see still somewhat of a I don't want to say maybe explosion of movement, but as a new weather system comes, before this warm air started to roll in, or maybe as it just was hitting here, I think bucks were kind of like, man, it felt really good to get on my feet and get roaming around, and I'm sensing this warm front coming, and I think bucks were just trying to get one last bit of that, whether it was marking their territory or checking on some doe groups. It just seemed like right as that new change of weather came in, that's what might have spiked that activity, because other than that there really is nothing there. When we look at the 21st, I mean, no huge spike in barometric pressure. Moon phase, I don't think was a big deal, but we just saw a huge difference in temperature. There was probably even We probably went from maybe a north or west wind to maybe a southerly wind. I mean,
Mm,
just some changes.
mhm.
That all of a sudden things were completely different than what they were for that 3 4 day period. That's my guess.
Okay. I mean, it seems very logical for sure. And
Yep.
then kind of just moving through, let's do the last, however many days of October. Um October 25th. Yep. It's funny. You
Yeah.
can look at the number of mature buck photos and then look right and you're like, "Oh yeah, that was a
Yeah.
low morning."
And actually, October 25th was the best day we had for mature buck photos last year, October 25th. So there was a difference mid October, even though we had, like, when you look at the 15th, we had 7 mature buck photos, and the 25th, we had 8. So not a huge difference there, but still, I do think the fact that it's now October 25th, and we had possibly one thing I don't remember for sure, but it might have been the coldest morning in October. I think it was when you see that low of 27. So there's been many years where the coldest morning during the rutting phase, like, late October, early November, the coldest morning, there's been many years that's been an incredible day. In fact, it's usually probably at least a top 5 to 10 day every season, just that coldest morning. Um,
Do you
and
do you
that
have
was all
hunters
kind of,
do you have hunter did you have hunters in for the 25th?
yep. And we killed 2 bucks that day.
Okay.
One, in fact, although the one hunter, I wouldn't say was an actual client, but more of a friend of mine that I was helping out, John Lewis from Just Hunt Club. In
Mhm.
fact, it's all on video. I was kind of helping him out last year, and I put him in a spot, and sure enough, he killed a smasher 8 point that day. And actually, also there was a hot doe in the area, which led to that. But my point is, like, even though it's late October, like, there's still the chance, like, 25th October, yeah, there's not many hot does, but if there is a hot doe, like, that's going to be the place to be. And that's exactly, it's like probably the first doe in that area that came in heat, and there was a pile of bucks in that spot just because of that.
Were both of those bucks shot in the morning, evening, midday, or what time of day were they shot?
All morning. Usually mornings here are better. And it's as simple as this is usually it's colder in the morning here. But I'm also gonna tell you that, like, not during the coldest period of the morning. Usually most of our bucks are killed, or the big deer are seen, I want to say 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Like, you hear a lot of places throughout the country that, they'll say 10 to 2 or 11 to 3. I don't think that's quite the same here. I still think that I'll say 8 to noon at the most is
Yeah.
usually the best here. But I will say what it does seem like is when I'm, especially if I have clients sitting all day, or going back through my photos, I don't get a lot of deer on camera, like from that noon to 3 period, but when I do, I bet you 50% of them are mature deer. Like, I think a lot of your younger bucks, I think a lot of does, a lot of those deer are bedding down at that time. But I think your bucks that are out there looking for something to breed, I think those deer are on the move from that noon to 3 period a lot during the rut.
So you pretty much got to sit all day.
It's
And I think the other thing too, forgotten that this is just me looking at it. The days to truly sit dark to dark. I mean, you could probably pick 4 or 5 days of the year when the conditions are right, and you're likely going to have a good opportunity, like a very good opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about in my business is, you get people coming here for nearly a week and I'll look, right as soon as that weekly forecast comes out and I'll basically know what kind of hunt they're going to have just based on the temperatures. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes, yeah, it's exciting, but then there's other times I literally am sad because like, I'm looking like, man, we got nothing even in the 30s all week for lows. And I don't care if it's November 1st through 7th, like you're going to have a tough hunt. And
Hmm.
that's just the way it is. We can't control the weather. So, um, it's that's just hunting. And if there's one thing that, I always say, one of the top things hunters have to be aware of is weather conditions and how that's going to impact, honestly, I believe your success too. I'm not saying you can't kill a good deer on a 70 or 80-degree day. I mean, I've done it before, my clients have done it, but your odds are still better when those weather conditions are right.
Hmm. Yeah. That's the name of the game, and to put the poker chips in the middle of the table on these dates here, when it seems like the 28 to 32, 28 to 34 seem to be a really sweet spot. So, anything else jumps out to you here for October other than, some of the best dates being unconventional? Like October 15th, I wouldn't have guessed that would be uh, one of the best days. I wouldn't. I'm not very good at
Right.
guessing though either.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was, like I said, that was a huge shocker last year, and I would have never guessed because one thing I've seen most years, and we'll talk, I guess I will mention a couple things here, but one thing I've seen most years is like, even though I'm a big October fan, like, I like October more than November, but I like late October. I don't, I'm not going to say mid October is bad. I'm not a big fan of early October, but my point is like throughout the years I've seen where, like, for instance, maybe you get a cold front October 16th, and usually you'll see a decent spike in movement. Then you get another cold front, say October 28th, maybe even with the same temperature, almost the same wind, same everything. Usually you'll see double the movement in that later October cold front, even if the once again the temperature is the same. But to me, I still think that, as daylight decreases, and other factors like that, the testosterone, the rutting urge, like that should be increasing more as we get further into October. So it was just more of a shocker to me, like, why didn't we see us, maybe even like October 25th. Like, why wasn't that just the best day overall, even though it was
Mhm.
for mature deer? But where I'm going to tell people my opinion, why I think October 17th was the best day last year was because of the full moon. And we had a decent, we had some decent barometric higher pressure too. So we had a time where we had really good temperatures. We had a full moon where I almost always see an increase in movement when we have a full moon in October around that period. This year's going to be a little more interesting because our full moon's earlier in October. But when I get that full moon, either in mid to late October, seems like most months it usually is. It seems like if you can get the right weather around that full moon, then you'll see, you know, see pretty good movement. And I just think we had multiple factors coming into play during that October 17th period where everything was just lining up. And I think once again, even given the acorn crop we had, and every factor is just one of those scenarios where you know, even though I'm a big fan of temperature and hunting around those mornings when it's close to freezing or freezing or below, when I can throw other odds in there too with the pressure and the moon and other things, everything lined up that day, and that's why it is what it is.